Welcome to In Spirit with Missy Reno Smith.
And I'm Vanna Smith. In this episode, we're going to be talking about reincarnation.
Mm-hmm. Reincarnation, yeah, that's a fun topic. You and I like that topic a lot, I think.
Absolutely. I love to do past life regressions.
Yeah, past life regressions are one of the things that I enjoy doing, with you guys, and then, of course, with clients. I just find them fun.
They are a lot of fun, especially for your family here, because you can't really get everything for us in a reading because you're too close to us. So it's like doing a past life regression is just we're going in and we're seeing the life, and that's really exciting and fun.
Yeah, things are just open for past life regressions. And I do them differently, of course. I go with you, whereas like, a hypnotherapist or something, they're sort of guiding you. I'm guiding my client, but my client's angels are guiding me. I'm going in, I'm looking at it, I'm seeing what you're seeing. I actually think it's helpful when we do a regression like that because, if I say something that you're seeing or feeling or knowing, and then that's going to like build up your confidence, like,
reassuring.
Yeah, like I'm really doing this, because everybody, when they do a regression, they're always like, am I doing it? I'm just making it up. Like, what's happening? People get really nervous about that.
Yeah, it's hard to know because that going to the other side and your imagination are kind of almost like the same place.
Sure. Yeah, imagination is a place. It's in like an in-between space between, heaven and earth. And so when we go there in our minds, it's real. It's kids are very in tune with their imagination. I think that we as adults, we think of it as being fake, and we have to stop thinking that. Like it's a real space that we can use. We use it all the time to we daydream, we practice, what we want to do on earth. We're practicing it in our mind and that. And so when we do a regression, that's kind of that space that we're using is that space we call imagination, and it's powerful.
It's pretty amazing, though. You can do like 1 million regressions because you just have so many lives,
Assuming you do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because everybody has, however many lives you've lived. I mean, it's unique to you, but most of us have lived quite a few lives. And I've met people who have only lived, I've met people who are on their first life.
Really?
Yeah, in this world. And they're brand new, not for real, like brand new, like in like being created, but like being here, it's brand new. And that's okay.
Living a life at all, or like their first life on earth?
Their first life on earth, yeah. We were all created at the exact same time. There's no such thing as old souls. I hate that term. There are more experienced souls and less experienced souls, but in terms of age, we're all the same age. So we don't really need to talk about that. I get what people are saying when they say old soul. I get it. It just kind of bugs me a little bit.
Are there spirits who don't live like any lives?
Yeah. I've met spirits in heaven. They've never been here. Never been here. Why? I don't know. Maybe they just
Have they never been anywhere?
Anywhere. Yeah, I just mean this dimension, right? Because like Earth is just one space in this giant dimension. We've got all those, every star that you see in the sky, right, it's an opportunity for life. And many of them have planets. There's so many places we can go. We can go anywhere, all these different galaxies and, where they, have different experiences than we can have here on Earth. So there's all sorts of places. But yeah, there are souls over there who just choose to live in heaven. They've never been here. That's fine.
So how many times do we typically live lives?
Well, it's totally unique to you. It's like, what are you looking for, Vanna? What's your goal? What's your ultimate goal? How much wisdom do you want to get? How many experiences do you want to have?
My real goal is I want to be like Chuck Norris one day.
Chuck Norris?
I want to be unstoppable.
Unstoppable. So you're going to have to live a lot of lives to be like Chuck Norris. I mean, he's pretty awesome.
He's probably lived more lives than anybody,
If you want to be like Chuck Norris, you're just going to have to live a lot of lives, yeah.
But for me, how many lives have I lived? How close am I to being Chuck Norris?
How many?
How many?
Give you a number.
I want like a whole number. maybe a number of in total lives on Earth and a number in total of lives, just all of them.
Well, your lives on Earth is a lot easier because you're like me. You haven't been here for that long. You've been here longer than me. I've only had like 10 or 12 lives on Earth. Most of mine are I have tons of them in other places, but this place. So you're more like me, but you've been here longer. I'm going to say 26.
26?
26 for here. What am I going to say for all your other ones? Oh, God.
Am I on my 27th then, or is this my 26th?
I would say this is 26. This is 26.
Lucky number 26.
Yeah. For other places, you're like me, like it's probably thousands.
Thousands?
I don't know if I can give you an exact number. It's just too many. Lots of them.
Lots.
A lot.
So
a lot of living. You've got a lot of living.
But I'm not too close to being Chuck Norris yet.
Oh, man, to be like Chuck, I don't know. Yeah, you need some more lives.
Chuck Norris has a bear rug in his house. It's not dead. It's just too afraid to move.
Okay.
I could probably whip out a couple more Chuck Norris jokes.
The other side has done that before. I once met this group.
Made a Chuck Norris joke?
Yeah, the other side does.
He's just so impressive to everyone.
He is, but like the person that I was talking to, like something like their brother, like had this thing like with Chuck Norris, so the other side made a Chuck Norris joke, and their brother was like coming, like literally like flying into town like that day, like he was on an airplane coming into town, and so it was funny that it was validation to talk about him, but to bring up Chuck Norris was the actual, I think, the real validation. But yeah, no, the other side loves Chuck Norris. My sister loves Chuck Norris. She's constantly making jokes.
I love Chuck Norris.
Yeah. You probably got that from your aunt.
She has a book of Chuck Norris jokes, which I've gotten several from. Chuck Norris once got bitten by a snake. After 3 days of excruciating pain, the snake died.
I bet it did. Oh, God.
There's a million of them.
Well, you need a few more lives to be like the Chuck. All right.
Chuck.
Yeah, you'll get there, though.
You have to be careful not to speak bad about him. He might just pop up out of nowhere and hit you.
He's got brothers too. The brothers Norris. They're like a thing. All of them, I think. So
I really only know about Chuck, and
I think the whole family's a thing. I think
Chuck is the only one I fear.
Well, you need a few more lives to get there. I think most people need a lot more lives to get there. You're close. We'll say you're close.
I'm close.
You're
nice.
close. But like you're Neo, right? Like so you're
Neo.
you're there.
I'm Neo, you're Morpheus, but soon I just got to upgrade to Chuck Norris.
Yeah. Well, you'll get there. No, you've lived a lot of lives. I think in our family we have everybody I've looked at has had a lot of them, but some people are like they don't live as many, and that's okay. Like whatever your experience is, whatever wisdom you're like bringing to the table, like it's just respected, accepted. It's awesome.
And some people live more lives on like one planet rather than another.
Yeah, that's us.
Yeah,
that's us. Like I think Earth is a really tough school, and so a lot of us want to come here to experience that. So that's kind of where you and I were. That's the boat we're in. Like, I wanted to come here because it's so negative, actually.
How many lives have you and I lived together?
A lot, because we came from the same location, same place, right? Same planet. God, that probably sounds nuts.
It all sounds nuts. I mean, to someone who doesn't believe a lot of the stuff that, we talk about, someone who is just, just doesn't believe.
That's okay, though.
It's okay, but they, we sound a little nutty sometimes, I guess.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't mind. If people don't, but that actually brings up a really good topic because not many people even accept reincarnation, which I think is sort of sad because, like, first of all, okay, life is tough, right? How can we learn everything that we want to learn in one life? How can we get it right in just one life? That doesn't make any sense. To me, God gives us as many chances as we want to come here. You can come here as many times as you want, Vanna, to get the experience and the wisdom that you're seeking.
So I can just continue coming back to live as many lives as I need to become Chuck Norris.
Yes, as many as you want. You are welcome here, and anywhere in the universe. This is why procreation is such an important thing. Like, we need to create more bodies for people to come here. Sex on Earth is really important.
Wow, 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 wow.
Yeah, we're creating an opening for a spirit to come, learn, get that wisdom that they desire.
So how many lives do people typically live here? Do they kind of go like, oh, I'll live like 50 lives on Earth, and then that's kind of as much experience as I need, and they move on to the next planet? Or are they like, oh, I'll just keep on living lives until I feel like I'm done?
I think a lot of spirits do that, where they're like, well, okay, I'm just going to keep going until I feel like I'm where I want to be. We do tend to make goals, like we'll plan out a series of like 10 or 12 lives, and we're living that series of lives. And so we're going to get to the end of that, right?
Like a movie series?
Like a movie series, like we're all the star of our own show, right? Like, just like Shakespeare said, all the world's a stage, right? You're the star of your show. I'm the star of my show. Yeah, and it's like a limited series, so you're gonna live these lives, and they sort of have like themes that are woven through them, and you're working towards like specific goals. And so each life is going to take you to that next one. So we tend to do that, but are we planning it out like, oh, I'm going to live 10,000 lives? I don't think we do that. I think we take things in small chunks so that we can handle it, deal with it, right? One life at a time for some people, or, these, one series of lives at a time.
And we typically have themes in them, things we do. Like for me and all my past life regressions, regressions. I'm typically like an artist, typically a man, mostly just because you need to be a man back then. Do a lot of business, things like that, things that I wanted to do.
Sure.
Typically, usually, at least I've actually seen several lives where I'm Indian or Middle Eastern, typically.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we tend to have our themes that we're, things that we're working towards. You have your specific life purpose for each life that you're living, but then you have like your overall soul purpose, like who are you? Like what is your ultimate goal? And that's where you're going to see that those themes sort of weaving between your lives. But yeah, specifically, like, can we have preferences? Absolutely, where we might choose a life where, where we are in a certain location, and maybe we just really like that location, so we keep going back.
Like me going to India and those Middle Eastern countries. Probably just really like it. I mean, all those lives that I've seen where I'm in India and those Middle Eastern countries, it looks pretty cool,
Yeah, I also have had some over there, and I just really sort of ache for that place and that. But, people oftentimes will remember somewhere where they lived before. You might travel there. You might have this real big desire to always go there. You just always like the people, and maybe you try to emulate that, that culture, and you have all these experiences, and we're drawn to places and peoples based on our past.
What kind of lives do you typically like to live?
Well, I just hate living like a man. I don't want to live like a man. I don't want to be a man.
You don't have to lift a finger.
No, it's not that. Women's jobs was tough work. The work that we do is very tough, but I am a feminine female spirit, if I'm in a male body, ugh.
You feel uncomfortable.
Extremely uncomfortable. Yeah, so I had that Middle Ages life in Europe where I was a man and I certainly was not attracted to women. And I had a father in that life who did not like that I was a feminine boy. And he would beat me and very badly beat me. And thankfully there was a priest, a local priest, who saw me and realized that I needed to get out of that situation. And they got me into some program, you know, with the church where I was copying Bibles. I was illuminating them. I was an artist. I was able to, you know, work with the gold paints and the things. And so I would just sit in a room and I was just copying Bibles all day long.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I once had that one life where we did that past life regression where Olivia, my sister, for those that don't know, was actually my mom. We were in India, and I was also an artist then, but she got married really young, was like forced to marry this older man. This older man was very abusive towards me. I think it might have been due to a little bit about me being a feminine guy as well, you know, and then he ended up getting hurt, and then Olivia died in that life as my mom. She got sick, she died, and then I continued being an artist. Lived out the rest of my days. I was like, okay.
Well, you bring up a great point, though. The people who are in our current life, we often see them in our past lives because we tend to live lives with the same group of people, you know. Daddy's always my husband. Like every life I've looked at, he's been my husband, except that life where I was a monk and he was in that life. He was like a benefactor. He was like paying for my education and that, but, you know, obviously we weren't married. No, it's interesting how that goes. And we tend to, when we're looking at past lives, we tend to look at the negative stuff. Oftentimes we are drawn to it if it's like some sort of like trauma that maybe is still affecting us in our current life. We might be drawn to looking at that. And so when I'm doing a regression, as you know, the first thing I do when we encounter trauma is we release it, you know. It's not serving you. Let's get rid of it. Let's keep the lesson. The wisdom is yours, but let's get rid of whatever the trauma is that's making you feel stuck.
I want to hear a little bit more about your monk life, because you've told me maybe like a few years ago about it. We've kind of briefly mentioned it before in this podcast. So why don't you tell me a bit more about that?
Well, so I was, you know, my early life obviously was tough because I was being beaten horrifically. And I had a beautiful mother who was very caring, but what could she do? You know, it was, you know, her husband's home, so to speak. We were very poor. You know, so I was swept away from that. But what happened then as I'm growing and I'm, you know, and I should probably mention too, when I looked at that life, I was very open to going with the church because I was terrified of having to marry a woman if I stayed, you know, so by that point I was like an adolescent and, you know, starting to think about, oh gosh, you know, this is what happens next in life. Yep. You know, you get married and you have children, and I clearly was not in that space at all. Yep. to have a female partner in life, and that's so I didn't want anything. So I felt like I was being truly saved. But I get there, I grow up, you know, I have feelings for men, and that just wasn't okay, you know, and so that's what happened. And I'll also in all my lives that I've looked at, I have my abilities. I'm a psychic medium, and this is what I do.
Because that's what you're trying to learn from.
Yeah, it's like my theme, and you know, my overall soul purpose, you know, is spirituality and you know, relationship with God and helping other people with their relationship with God. This is what I do. So that was present as well. So it was clear that I wasn't like the other monks, and I got in trouble. I got caught in trouble, and then, gosh, it's kind of a long story, but, I was arrested, and they put me to death.
How'd they kill you?
Well, they put me to the stake.
The stake? You got burned?
Yeah.
Youch.
Yeah, but I had a friend, that benefactor. I had two benefactors, and he actually brought me something to sort of like help me pass before the flames. So
something to relieve the pain, or just kind of like a bunch of pills, something like that.
Well, some sort of herb, something to poison me, kill me. So as they're walking me out, I'm eating this stuff. And
personally, I think if I was ever being burned at the stake, I'd probably, do it with real passion, set me on fire. I'll just start screaming and saying all sorts of, crazy stuff.
Well, you think that, and you look at it, and you think you go out with a bang there. I don't know. Maybe I was a bit of a coward.
I would probably plant some fireworks or something in the wood where they're burning it, just so a little bit of pew pew pew.
Well, people used to actually put kindling in their clothing so that they would burn faster. Yeah. That's why I was given something by a friend, because it was not a nice way to pass. Mm-hmm. So it was a way to quicken things. As people did whatever they could do. They didn't, probably have fireworks, but they would stuff their clothing with...
Fireworks have been around for a long time.
They sure have, but I don't think the average person had access to them. So, at least at that time in the Middle Ages, I'm not even sure that I don't think that guns were... I don't think we had gunpowder in Europe at that point. Yeah. So, yeah, that wouldn't have been something I could have even done. But what I could do was I could take something that was poisonous and I could help myself. But perhaps I was a little dramatic, though, because why didn't I do it in my cell? Why was I doing it on the way out there? I think I was probably a little obstinate and,
you had your little protest.
But, death it is something that people typically fear in life. When I do regressions with people, I bring them through their passing because I want them to know that the actual passing typically is not scary. Sometimes we have pain ahead of time, and but God gives us what I call the eject button. So when we are passing, when we're dying, we can disassociate from the body. This is something that we can use even at other times. And you once disassociated from your body in a pretty interesting way.
I fell off a scooter and I nearly broke my arm. I sprained it really bad. And I've also actually did the same thing because I also hurt my arm another time a few years later. But literally after I fell off of this scooter, it's like I felt like I was sucked out of my body. I was watching it from above. And I was in so much pain. Meanwhile, Olivia was just standing there, and she's like, "What's going on?
Yeah.
Stop crying.
You're being a baby. Okay.
Stop being a baby."
No, it was bad. Well, so we take you to the doctor, of course, and you're describing this scene, like you're looking at it from above, and the doctor looks at me, and I just say, "We're an interesting family."
But it is a common thing that happens. I've heard many people have a very similar story where maybe they got in a car accident, they got hurt, or even just a really traumatic moment, someone was being abused in some way, hurt. They kind of step out of their body.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done it myself. I broke my wrist once, roller skating with you kids.
With Olivia nearby as well.
Yeah, she pulled me down. And... So I broke my wrist. I remember sort of being disassociated at that time period. I've been in a car accident. I remember being disassociated slightly at that time period as well. It is something, it's a gift that God gives us, the eject button. So a lot of spirits, when they're talking about their passings to me, when I'm reading for them, they'll describe it like they're watching their body. Mm-hmm. So, this is why when I do a regression, I'm going to bring you through it. I'm going to let you know, hey, we can do this. We're not going to be necessarily experiencing everything so fully And what do we learn from that? I don't think we learn much.
It's kind of like watching a movie when we do the past life regressions. You're in it and you're kind of experiencing it, but you're not so, like, you wouldn't feel like pain when you're looking at your passing, that sort of thing.
Well, yeah, when you're actually doing the actual regression, yeah, you're definitely not experiencing the pain from it and that emotion. You are experiencing emotion. But I mean, when you're passing, like you're kind of looking down and you don't have to be afraid of it. Death is natural, it's normal. I like to say that, our cause of death is just the bus we hop on to get home, right? Yeah. How are we going to die? Like, we got to go home somehow, so how are we going to do it?
I want death by chocolate in this life.
Yeah, I don't, like in Willy Wonka, like falling in the river, maybe?
I could do that, but also just by eating so much chocolate that I have a heart attack and die. But I would like to be Augustus Gloop. That is also... Maybe that's a better idea,
That might be Augustus, a better idea, a little quicker,
Augustus,
But
can you play as an Oompa Loompa dancing around me as I die?
If you need me to.
I need you to.
I would do that for you. I would do that for you. But no, well, gosh, I don't want you to go before I go. Man, that'd be rough.
For me, it's okay.
Well, as a parent, it's really rough. But it does bring up something, I mean... the people, these lives that we live in, our lessons and all of that. I mean, sometimes our lives are meant to be short.
Yep.
Sometimes they're just meant to be hours old, and we don't even, we're in the womb, but we don't even come through, or we live 10 years or 20 years and then we go. And, our life is, each one is a specific length. I mean, length, it's preordained. We're supposed to stay here as long as we're supposed to stay, and then we got to go. We got other things to do.
So when we are actually dying and that eject button, are we the ones hitting it, or is God?
I would say that it's your higher self. Your higher self up in heaven is saying, boom, out.
So theoretically, right now, my higher self could just hit this button, and I could just die here right now.
If it's time for you to go. Yeah, if it's time for you to go. We just know when it's time and we bail. And, we got to go, and somebody's got to know. And it's that part of you that you're not accessing. It's that part of you we call the higher self. You are your higher self. Our words just never describe these things as well as I want them to. But you don't have a soul. You are a soul. That kind of a thing. You don't have a higher self. You are. It's just you're just unaware of some stuff happening. Where you actually are. You're just focused on this, but so that part of you is just aware when you're going to die. Your guides, your angels who are around you, helping you, right? We talk about being like a boxer, like in the ring, and you go to your corner. Like the people in your corner, they know when you're supposed to go to, and they help you out.
So it was all just in your life plan. Then you die, and then you got to plan your next life plan. And how does planning your next life plan really even work? I mean, are you like sitting down at like a table, you're writing something down like a book, or are you like typing up in like a computer?
Well, we have technology over there that's far better than what we have here. We sort of just everything that we're just sort of thinking and saying and doing, it's just recorded. So we don't necessarily have to sit and write or type. It's just being recorded for the library, the Akashic record.
Are the angels recording it for you, or is it like a little voice recorder like we have here? You gotta put down your thoughts,
It's not. I mean, everything is just recorded. Our angels are part of that process. They are coders. Some types of angels, the dominions, they're coding. This place, and then they're in charge of the Akashic record, so they're sort of putting it into that code for us. So yeah, our angels are like a part of that process. But what we'll do is, so we don't always plan the next life after one. Sometimes we're planning them out in a series, remember? So you sit down and you make that plan for a bunch of lives.
The Dalai Lama. Like the Dalai Lama.
Okay. All right, because the Dalai Lama just keeps coming back.
Yeah, keeps coming back. He has to plan them out.
Oh yeah, the Dalai Lama would have to. And by the way, that's rare.
Mm-hmm.
People don't do that. We typically put like 100 lives or 100 years before, each life, to just kind of jump from one to the other. That's exhausting. I don't know how he does that.
It's pretty cool that he does it, though.
It's awesome. It's incredible. I'm in awe. I can't
jealous.
Do it. Jealous. I'm totally jealous.
I'm jealous. He's getting more life experience. He can become Chuck Norris before I can.
Oh, he's probably already there, right?
He's like a whole different type of Chuck Norris.
He's the spiritual Chuck Norris.
The spiritual Chuck Norris.
Yes, he is. No, it's something that we rarely do. Every once in a while, we'll jump really quick. And I've had some lives where I was like, boom, boom, But typically we like to put 100, 200 years in between, get a rest, sit around in your Hawaiian shirt with your margarita.
My margarita, my 10,000 pools, everything I want.
Pools. Yeah, just hang out, relax, do your thing. Wait for your loved ones to come home because we like to live lives with the same group of people. I call it our family, our soul family, our soul circle. There's a lot of terms that I might use for this, but the people that you're closest to, they're part of that circle that's in heaven. And we like to sort of have those people in our lives.
And we're actually sitting around together, planning out our lives together. Like before me and you came here, we were sitting down and we were writing some things out, talking about some things, like as though we're writing a story, right?
Yes, that's how it goes. We sit down together. It's like a round table experience. We're all saying, okay, I need to learn this lesson. I need to go through this really tough thing. I'm going to be maybe I've got a health problem and maybe I need a caretaker who's going to help me out, right? And then, maybe you raise your hand and say, I'll help you,
I'll do it.
I'll do it.
I volunteer as tribute.
Yes, you volunteer as tribute. And, but we do that for each other, I need to learn this lesson. I need somebody to reject me. And I'll be like, all right, I'll reject you. I'll do it. I can do it.
I can reject you. It's okay. Don't worry about it. I'll have fun doing it.
I'll do it. All right, I'll do it. So we just we help each other out, right? We're like, what do you got to learn? What do I got to learn? What can we do? Let's scratch each other's backs.
And we can't come back as an object or anything, right? Nothing fun.
No, we are what we are. We are children of God. We were made in God's image. This is our form. This is what we are.
I can't be a tree or your little meditation monkey over there. I can't be him.
No, you can't be Melvin. He just is
I want to be Melvin.
He is what he is. Monkeys are monkeys. Dogs are dogs. Cats are cats. I understand that there are, in Hinduism, respectfully, I understand that it's part of their, Buddhism, maybe they think that they can be these different things. We need to respect all life. Be respectful. There's a circle of life. There's the way things go. It's okay to eat animals. That's part of it, but we respect it. We care for them.
Yep.
We give them a good passing.
There's a right and wrong way of doing it.
Yes, absolutely. But we can't become these things. They're different.
But if you could become anything, an object, an animal, literally anything, if you could become anything, what would you be?
I would be a ruby.
A ruby.
I love rubies. I have my rubies.
Just like great grandma?
Yes, just like great grandma. I love my rubies. I like the longevity of these things, or like a diamond, but I just really love the beautiful red. Ruby is a corundum. It's technically like a sapphire, right? We just call the red ones rubies. And so I'm big into gemstones and jewelry. I design jewelry, so that's what I would be.
If I could be anything, I would want to be an internet browser. Like the actual whole system as a whole. If I could be an internet browser, that's what I would be. Because I'd want to know what everyone's looking up. I want to know their deepest, darkest secrets. I want to know where they lack in intelligence and knowledge and where they don't lack. You can find out everything about a person through the internet history.
You can. Wow, that's interesting. Wow. Yeah, so kind of like maybe like an AI.
Yep.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
you'd be like
AI would probably
Google,
be, yeah.
but like an AI Google.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. I would never have thought of that.
I've really thought this out. I have.
Yeah, you were thinking about that, man. No, wow, yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Oh, I don't want to know all those dirty things people are looking
But I'm
up.
so interested in psychology and all
You
that
are.
stuff. So it's like, that would just be the perfect place for me to be. Because, I mean, everyone all over the world, they're all on places like Google and, searching things up on their computers.
Then you get
That's what
people
I'd wanna
like
be.
me, like I'm a little naive, right? When it comes to internet searches, like you've had to say, Mama, don't search that.
Mama, don't search that.
Don't search that.
What pops up will not be what you're thinking.
Yeah. So sometimes you get people who they don't necessarily think about what it...
Maybe I could be like a sort of AI that would help people like you who are not technologically inclined, advanced.
Savvy.
Yeah, savvy. Yep.
Yeah, that'd
Absolutely.
be nice. I would appreciate like a really AI really scares me though.
Mm-hmm.
Like especially as an artist, I hate that AI art stuff. Like, come on, there's no soul. Where's the
no
soul?
Yeah, there's just no soul to it.
There's no soul to it. I'm just really, and then you see these things that like AI is like writing or saying, and like people are putting these things in, and then it's like churning back stuff at us that's like racist or whatever. I mean, I don't know. Like it's scary. Like
I think
AI.
there's definitely purposes for it. It's not purposeless, but to replace something that is artistic, it's just no.
Right.
It's not meant for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to be careful with it. I think that we're like in the early ages of it, and if people, we need really smart people on this to like make it safe and make it nice. I don't want it mean. I don't want it to, they teach it off of
off of the internet, off of other sort of things like that. But the internet is a very mean, negative
can be very
place.
mean,
Yeah.
right? That's why I think people have like, done things and then it spits something out that was kind of negative like that, and that's kind of scares me. So, but you'd be like a really nice AI.
I'd be really nice, but I might mess with you a little bit, I think if I was specifically your AI, absolutely I would mess with
You
you.
would
I'd
totally
make
mess
some
with
weird
me.
things pop up in your browser, and you would just have to deal with that.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, but for other people, you'd be really nice.
Everyone else, except family members and like close friends, I'll be really nice to. But
have a lot of
everyone
fun
who
with that.
knows me, watch out.
You'd have a lot of fun with it, I think. Yeah, no, that's a great answer. I would have thought of that, And I was thinking about it because you'd asked me this before, and I was just thinking, there's nothing I would want to be.
Yeah.
I can't imagine anything. And I was thinking about, whether it's an object or like like an animal or something. I had to really think about it, but if it was something that's on Earth, a ruby is my answer. But if you ask me if I could be anything in the universe, just anything in all creation, then it would be an angel, because I really, really wish that I could be an angel. I love angels. I work with them every day. They are a different species. They're different from us. It's a beautiful sentiment to say that somebody who's passed away is my angel in heaven watching over me. That's okay, but technically they're different, so we can't become them. But
If I could be any like living thing, I'd probably go with Sasquatch.
oh yeah, that's a good one too.
I would love to be like hitting trees with sticks, throwing rocks at people, walking around completely naked in the woods.
Totally naked, stinky though. Man.
Stinky, but I would love it when people would, come to the woods and they're like Sasquatch hunters and just like chuck a rock at them and run away,
Yeah.
You can't see me. Those Sasquatches are like John Cena. You really can't see them. They're nowhere to be found.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Sasquatch, to come back as a Sasquatch in another life, that would be interesting. I suppose you'd be just like used to your own stink,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You probably don't care. You're like, I'm stinky, I'm fine.
Well, they might have been a little bit aware of it, Like in the Victorian times, everyone was stinky all the time, and they wore like those little pendant things on them with like little like herbs or something that had like a scented
Yeah.
whatever, because they were aware of the
A little bit
smell.
aware, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
They were used to it, but they were aware. So
Yeah. That is interesting.
it's very interesting.
Yeah. Well, you can't come back as a Sasquatch. I am so sorry. You can't be this AI browser as well. I mean, you are a child of God. You're here to experience your lives as a child of God in all of your lives. I mean, that's just who we are.
Yep.
So we can't do it, but it's really fun to think about what we would want to be.
It would be incredibly fun to be an AI or a Sasquatch.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
But yeah, but you're not going to do it. You're just going to be, just you. But what you are is incredible. What we are, children of God, we are incredible. We were made in God's image. We're the only being that was truly made in God's image. We're sort of empty without experience, without wisdom, but ultimately we have that same image, and we're sort of working towards to be like our Creator.
If we lived lives as an object or as another animal, we wouldn't be able to accomplish that, to, learn all those things, You could watch a lot of other people learning things, but you can't learn them yourself.
Correct. Absolutely. Yeah, we wouldn't get to do the things that we as a being yearn to do. We are seekers of experience and wisdom. We're explorers, like when you consider a dog, that's just not who they are. They like to explore and sniff and go around and do their thing, and but they're not sort of like on this ultimate journey. They're just like incredible, loving, wonderful beings as they are.
They're just being dogs.
They're just being dogs. Yeah, they don't need to perfect. They're just perfect as they are. Yeah. But we are on a mission to grow, and that's what our lives are doing. That's why you're living all these lives. That's why you're here. You want to learn and grow.
Well, that's all the time we have. We're going to talk about this more in part 2. So would you like to say goodbye, Mama?
Yeah, so just remember that God loves you, and I'm sending angels your way.
If you'd like to know more about Missy Reno Smith, her readings, her artwork, please visit MissyRenoSmith.com. You can also find In Spirit Podcast on TikTok, X, and Instagram, as well as YouTube, and wherever you listen to your podcasts.